Despite all her titles and duties, the Queen was a totally normal human being. She had cornflakes for breakfast, used public transport, loved washing dishes, and even knew how to use the self-service checkout counter.
And then they just pass it over, scan the barcode, and put it down.
Once on the throne, Elizabeth introduced a lot more normalcy into palace life, even if that meant breaking royal protocol. Like when she insisted that Philip be in the room while she gave birth to their son Andrew. It was the first time ever in the long history of the monarchy that a father had witnessed a royal birth. A father's presence in the delivery room was unusual in the 60s, but for the royals it was totally unheard of. In fact, some netizens suspect that this was the moment Philip coined his favourite nickname for Elizabeth, Cabbage. Reportedly, there are rumours that the prince hilariously said that Elizabeth's face had scrunched up like a cabbage at the time. Elizabeth's antics weren't just a surprise to her own family. The Queen was so down to earth that she continuously astonished other world leaders. Like the time that the monarch offered a Saudi Arabian prince a lift in her Land Rover. Her guest had never even been driven through muddy Scotland by a woman, let alone a queen. Naturally, this meant Elizabeth was pretty easygoing if other leaders slipped up the correct protocol around her, even if it often led to hilarity. After all, she was perceived as very strict and stern. Then again, that was an easy mistake to make. Shows like The Crown have given us the idea that Queen Elizabeth was a no-nonsense lady, but those depictions are wrong. It's probably the reason the monarch preferred Downton Abbey and Game of Thrones to The Crown. But she was also a lover of movies, which meant her employees were often treated to film premieres. You see, Buckingham Palace has its own cinema, and Elizabeth was occasionally sent copies of Hollywood blockbusters before they were released to the public. She loved sharing these moments with her staff and invited the entire palace for screenings. And she wasn't just generous. Insiders have revealed that the head of the royal family probably wasn't like you'd imagine in other ways either. The first thing that surprised many people about the Queen is her diet. You'd expect the head of the British monarchy to have huge banquets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Wrong. Elizabeth started every day the same way, with the breakfast of champions, a bowl of cornflakes and a cup of Earl Grey tea. Her favourite tea-time snack wasn't some fancy affair either. It was a good old jam sandwich, the same thing she'd eaten since she was a kid. But there's a trick to getting them right, which her former personal chef revealed.
Sandwiched together and then cut into circles, they were called pennies after the size of the Old English penny.
The sandwich pro also admitted that there was another secret ingredient that the Queen adored, a drink. According to her chef, Elizabeth had at least 4 drinks every day. A gin after breakfast, wine with lunch, and champagne with dinner. Then she'd end every day in style with a martini. And after a meal, the Queen didn't mind cleaning up. You see, Elizabeth sometimes washed her own dishes. A royal courtier once told newspapers, "At the end of lunch I heard someone say, 'I'll do the washing up.' I turned round and there was the Queen in her yellow washing up gloves." Washing dishes was actually a chore the Queen enjoyed. She considered it calming and did it frequently. These kinds of unexpected revelations show that during her rule, Elizabeth wasn't just a good leader, she was a good person with a lot of love to give. And that's a common theme throughout the monarch's life. Despite her endless duties and engagements, the Queen still made time to enjoy the little things, like stamp collecting or photography. In fact, she once surprised royal photographers by breaking protocol again. This time it was to have a little fun. After her official portrait was shot, the Queen took a series of more candid shots, posing like a real model. It was the first time the world ever got a peek of Elizabeth with her hands in her pockets, a casual move but a royal no-no. Although she wasn't exactly a stranger to the world of modelling, she'd appeared on many magazine covers, like this one with her dogs. And speaking of her furry friends, there's more to her passion for animals than the media has revealed. For example, she wrote letters to other dogs on behalf of her famous corgis and raced pigeons. That's not even the most surprising. Elizabeth's other hobbies were relatable but definitely unexpected for a monarch. For example, the Queen didn't just breed and race horses, she placed bets on them. That's right, Elizabeth liked to gamble on her horses, and she was good at it too. The British Horse Racing Authority revealed that Elizabeth made a whopping $8.8 million from this hobby. All of it was donated to charity. The monarch was also a huge sports fan. In addition to watching ice hockey, she loved football. She even had a favourite team, Arsenal. However, of all the many ways the Queen was surprisingly average, the best is with regards to her family. Because to them, she was more than the head of the family. She was a mother, granny, and a great-granny too. And she loved that role. It's the reason that, like grandparents around the world, she was introduced to Skype, because that's how she chats to her grandkids on a regular basis. In fact, Elizabeth was quite a fan of technology. She even had social media. If one thing is clear, it's that Queen Elizabeth believed in living life to the fullest and taking joy in the small things. It's something we could all do more of. Thank you, Queen Elizabeth, for teaching us about the magic of the ordinary. Rest in peace, Your Majesty.